feel they want to do this? What is
their motive?
What is their real motive? Is it to save the wolf?
Oh no, the wolf is just a pawn. So they've got several reasons. First of all, they're getting filthy rich off of this. That's the best way. That's probably, money's greed. Bob Fanning, who started Friends of the Northern Yellowstone Elk Herd, his comment was just follow the money, and you'll see exactly why they do it. These groups have milked our justice system out of so much money that it's almost hard for even someone who studies it as much as I have to fathom it. Between 2003 and about into 2007, they filed over 1,500 frivolous lawsuits against, most of them against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Department of the Interior. And for those 1,500 lawsuits, they received $4.7 billion, not million, $billion in restitution and reimbursement for their padded legal expenses.
In addition to that, do you have any idea on what the privately funded trusts and other corporate organizations, how much money they're putting in to keep these organizations going?
Well, that's one thing I've just started working on a little bit, trying to figure out where their other money's coming from, and I guarantee you a bunch of it comes from Ted Turner. And there are other people, any of you have Progressive Insurance? The guy who owns Progressive is a major supporter of Agenda 21 and the Wildlands Project. So I mean, this is probably one of the ways that we're going to have to start fighting more, use a little more of this noodle up here, to fight them, hit them where it hurts, and that's money. They understand that.
With all of the wolves that are here, they will eventually start attacking people because they will lose their
They already
resource.
Yeah.
But when are the people of Montana going to stop and say, it's all out war on the wolves and we need to decimate them?
Well, see, that's what everybody keeps pushing for. I mean, the thing is, I don't think if we just all picked up a gun tomorrow, if we decided that the opening day of deer season, the opening day of elk season was going to be Montana Wolf Out Day, and everybody just shot all the wolves they saw, we still wouldn't make a big a dent in them. I mean, wolves are not the easiest thing in the world to get rid of. They're worse than cockroaches, I can tell you that. But at least you can spray for cockroaches, but there's things you can do for wolves too. But the thing is, we've got our work cut out for us. I mean, we really do. I mean, there is not a magic wand. There is nothing that we can just say, if we do this, it's going to be all fixed. It's not going to work that way. Get right back here first.
Well, to get back to what she asked, the original reason, I mean, they introduced wolves here just so they can file a lot of lawsuits.
Well, that's part of it. The other part of it is, these environmentalists have this pipe dream about, getting rid of all of us.
Okay, so it's coming back to environmental.
Sure. I mean, again, they want us off the land. They want nature to balance itself, they don't want humans here. They're anti-hunting, and that's a big part of it too. They want to put an end to all sport hunting. They don't believe in our way of life. They're different. They're a different breed than we are. And back when I first started Local Watch, I tried to be a little nice sometimes, and finally one day I just said, to hell with it. And I decided from that point on, I get a chance, I was going for the jugular every time. And I try to keep it somewhat professional. There's been times I've walked across that line too. Oh, right.
I apologize for being late. I've lived in the state about 10 years now, and I found the politics quite confusing. For example, you may have touched on this already. What prevents the sheriff, the leading law enforcement officer in the county, from dictating to Fish, Wildlife, and Parks or any other federal agency what the wolf policy is gonna be.
It's
Or
probably,
not gonna be.
it's probably the sheriff himself. He's a little bit chicken to go and go up against, you know, federal government or whatever.
They're paid by the feds too.
Exactly. Anybody in this room know Billy Hill from over in Sanders County? Billy was one of the guys who ran for sheriff. I hung on Billy. I'd love to buy him a cup of coffee, and, you know, if I put a little shot of whiskey in it too. And then we sit down there and talk because he is. I was giving anything to see Billy get elected sheriff in Sanders County because there'd probably be a National Guard armory or something over there now just to keep him under control. But he was ready. He was one of the people that felt that the sheriff, just like you said, the sheriff is the highest elected law enforcement officer in the county and actually should have the final say-so in anything.
You say should have.
Yes.
Doesn't he?
Well, he's supposed to have, yes, that's what you say. You have to say should have because, you know, it's like freedom itself. And I compare freedoms with copyrights and patents. If you don't defend it, you lose it.
I'd like to make a comment on that sheriff situation. The sheriff is supposed to be watching out for the health and safety of the people. And both are endangered by the wolf. We haven't talked yet about the diseases they're bringing in. And I think that we've been talking a lot about losing our game and the industry, hunting and so forth. But we're going to be losing our tourism. People aren't coming in here armed. And as you say, the sheriff has the authority as one of the highest statuses in the county of elected officials. And Fred Kelly Grant, the other is the county commissioners. They're at the same level. And Fred Kelly Grant, who is a retired criminal attorney who has spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., has devoted a lot of time going through the western states, getting people interested, especially the county commissioners, to approach and get the Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife, all to the table to draw up policy that will be in agreement with both levels of government. They can operate at the same level. And right now, Fred Kelly Grant has been very active primarily with the sheriffs. In the western states, in Washington, Oregon, and those states, he has been getting, the sheriffs are getting very much involved with this wolf situation very successfully. And I think what we have to do as a population and the citizens is to get our elected officials to start having a backbone and get some bills passed to stop this. The government has no right to come in. We need the bills, and they have the power and authority if they would just exert it.
You're right, we do need to make, in the 2012 election in this state next year, the wolf and even the grizzly bear need to be very big issues on, you know, in that election. If, you know, we need to put the pressure on our elected officials. And again, though, if you can't get your sheriff to do what he swore his oath to do, you know, I mean, that's a problem. And you got to remind them. You got to remind them. You know, we elected you once, and we may not elect you again.
And also, this legislation that's been going through comes right down from Washington, D.C. A lot of that is just deliberate bungling and obfuscation. And they know that when they try to get 3 states to agree, it's impossible. So they have to stand alone and go ahead and get the authority. And we here in Montana haven't taken that.
Well, and not just Montana, most places, quite honestly. I mean, but we have an issue here now where, you know, in most counties, in most states, they don't have something coming at them like the wolf is with us right now. So we have an issue here that basically does pit county, state, federal government. So I mean, it's a triangle of turmoil, and this is the time, this is the place for a sheriff. If any sheriff was ever going to really take a stand and uphold his duty, this is the time and place to do it.
I don't mean to go backwards, but of the 1,500 lawsuits, do you know if they won any of those?
I don't, they won